say, especially for young coaches, the biggest one is critical thinking. It's a blessing and a curse that we've never had such easy access to information as we have right now. Whether it's social media, whether it's YouTube articles, we have an overwhelming amount. So you could really learn a lot by just spending time reading. But there's also a lot of bad information out there and a lot of absolute opinions from people, right? That's kind of what sells. That's what the algorithm's going to push. Nobody wants to hear us saying, well, it depends on this and that. They want someone that says, always do this, never do this. So my word of advice to young coaches is like, be wary of those absolute opinions, the absolute stances that you're going to hear on social media, but follow leaders in the industry. I think getting online and following Gray Cook, following Dan John, following Mark Verstegen at Exos, and just finding the people that have done a great job of building businesses or creating followings in this business, and follow and absorb as much as you can.
Welcome to the podcast, y'all.
I'm your host, Manny.
I'm your host, Josh. And today we have a very special guest. All right. This gentleman to my right, and cue the camera over there.
Yes.
Is
Suman.
Lucas Dunham. All right. Now, Lucas is a personal trainer / strength coach / let me get this correct. Hybrid performance coach. Is that correct?
It's a word full, yeah, but that's a good way to describe it.
Okay. All right.
I'll explain what that is.
And we will get to the bottom of this later on in the episode. Is there anything else that we're missing from your title that you would like to classify yourself as?
Sums it up. Performance coach is probably my actual title, but the hybrid implies that there's some virtual training, there's some in-person training, there's some facility management, so wear a lot of hats.
So hybrid, meaning you're doing other things other than running.
Not much running.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Jack of all
Everybody's
trades.
like, oh, I like to go for a run, so therefore I'm hybrid. All right.
And lift things.
Easy.
Hey, sorry. Shots fired.
Says the guy who just flings kettlebells around.
Manny
and we're off, guys.
Here we go.
Welcome to the podcast. We have a guest today.
Standoff.
This is an interview, and we are drinking.
We drink on this show now, I guess.
We drink only on interviews. Everyone knows that I gave up drinking, so this doesn't count. All right. So
As long as we're on a podcast episode,
Sure.
does not count as drinking.
yes. So let's go. Let's start from the beginning, Lucas. Where does your background history of fitness begin?
Go way back with this one. I'll start with a story.
Oh, story
Here
time.
comes the childhood trauma. Let's go.
Let's unpack this. All right.
All right, when I was about 10 years old, my grandma gave me a pair of forged dumbbells out of steel that my grandpa had made. He worked in a steel mill. He made this stuff out of steel, and he made a pair of 10-pound dumbbells. My grandma gave me these weights, and she said, hey, if you want a girlfriend someday, you take these dumbbells, you just do bicep curls and find a way to train your chest, and you'll get a girlfriend one day.
Look where we are now. look where we fast forward. All right, off camera, we have superfan Julie. That's also with producer Haley in the background. So if there's another voice you hear, that's Julie. Say hi, Julie.
Hi.
All right. Yes. Fan of the program. First time caller, long time listener. All right, sorry. Go ahead. All right. So
Where are we going
you
with
had
this?
to do this dumbbell. You had to forge something. All right. Go ahead.
So needless to say, I started off as quite the meathead, really just doing upper body, skipped leg days a lot. But I did played rugby, played football, played baseball, played football and rugby in college. So obviously strength and conditioning was a big part of that. Wasn't the biggest guy. I played fullback, believe it or not. I was a little bigger at the time. But I knew that I wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest. But I did find the stronger I got in the weight room, the more I did in the weight room, the better chance I had at getting a starting spot on the field.
Huh. Getting strong did help you out.
It did help.
So how did that all translate into you becoming a personal trainer down the line?
Yeah, so in college, going through strength and conditioning and kind of lifting on my own, had a couple buddies that would go to the gym with me, and it was fun because I had an opportunity to kind of teach them some of the insights I had learned from playing football or playing rugby, and obviously some of the meathead tactics I learned from my grandma way back in the day. But I found that it was pretty fun to see their results and to train. My twin brother lives here in the city, and I went to college with him and trained him in the weight room. So it was fun seeing them get the quick newbie gains, and it was kind of affirming for me. Maybe there is something to this, being a coach and teaching people some of the insights that I've got from the barbell.
Very good. All right. So if you guys are unaware, if you can't see this on the screen, we actually have a whiskey flight. So follow along over there in the crowd. We are starting from left going to right. Hudson whiskey. And they don't know exactly what it is, but you guys can share. Producer Haley, you have your own thing too if you want to split that. If not, whichever. There you go. And then Manny, you have the same one as well. Let's all take a shot. Cheers for the first one.
Cheers.
Salud.
Wait, this is a shot?
Yeah, you don't shoot it. But etiquette when it comes to whiskey, you enjoy the drink. You don't shoot the drink.
That's not how Montana rolls.
All right. Your thoughts before we go back to our interview? What do you think? What do you think it is? What do you taste? What are the notes?
I taste alcohol.
You are correct, Manny.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Maybe some like sherry oak.
Ooh.
Maybe like
Wow.
cherry. So there's
This is definitely more scotchy than it is bourbon.
Ooh. What do you get, Lucas?
You get a little caramel on the nose, a little light smoke, a little smoke.
Glad he mentioned the nose. You're supposed to smell it first. You're supposed to go into every single nostril.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
love
You're
this.
just yeah. Yeah. Very
I
good.
smell alcohol. Let's go.
No.
All right. So let's continue let's fast forward, actually. We're going non-chronologically. It's like a Tarantino film, all right? So
You go
as of
forward, you go back.
yeah, that's right. As of right now, you work for Exos, is that correct?
Yes.
Which is a vendor for Google.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, Exos is a performance company, and we work in high military, we work in professional athletes, and we work in corporate wellness. So I'm kind of on the corporate wellness sector of Exos, and I'm a vendor at Google. So I'm working at Google headquarters.
So is the majority of your clients mainly Google employees, or you got other athletes on the side? Who's mainly your clientele?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm working with clients at Google, and there's so many people at Google. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of employees there. So within that ecosystem, there's athletes, there's beginners, there's software engineers, there's high performance sales folks that I work with. So a pretty good mix of demographics within that Google umbrella.
All right.
How do you differentiate the people that you used to train prior to training all these Google employees versus, because I see that Exos is, before we started filming, you said that Exos is the bread and butter is usually training athletes who want to get into professional football. So how was the transition from having the mindset that you're going to train all these professional athletes to now training all these professional tech guys and girls?
That's a great question. So yeah, to bring it back a little bit to my background, I started off on that, actually on the performance side of Exos, working with high-level athletes. There were a couple military guys there that were high-performing. A lot of, as you mentioned, college football players trying to make it to the pros. So we really specialized in the combine tests there. Learned a lot, but before that, I'd worked with a lot of corporate folks. And as I mentioned, that feeling of teaching a beginner some of the values you've learned, whether it's how to squat or deadlift or how to just be more resilient in life, that really resonated with me. And as fun as it was to train some of these top athletes, so you could throw anything at them and they're going to make it happen, it didn't feel as deep, didn't feel a sense of purpose that I get when I'm teaching someone the insights outside of the weight room as well. So it was an interesting transition, but I had always felt that the corporate or the newer demographic had resonated more with me. But yeah, let's just say I had to tone it down a lot when I got to Google, because I'd just come from, whistle, bucket cap, like traditional strength coach yelling at people. And I showed up at Google with that kind of rah energy, and people were a little off put, like, who the hell is this guy showing up yelling at us like this?
You training any high-end athletes at the moment, or are they mainly just
I'd say for the most part, high performing athletes I work with now are in the sport of powerlifting.
Okay.
There's a lot of Googlers that are just freaks of natures when it comes to strength. So
Really?
I do coach some people there that compete on a national, and even some, I don't coach this guy, but I've trained with him in the gym. He competes in the worlds for powerlifting.
People that are coding and working on servers and numbers but I don't know what they do in Google, to be honest. But those types of people, you're saying they also have crazy powerlifting numbers right now. Did they know that before you work with them?
A lot of them are unaware of how good they actually are outside of that bubble, but I think you can. argue that the high performing mindset to get to a company like Google and to excel as a software engineer at the top level, that work ethic is probably the same as excelling in any arena. So I think people just apply that skill set that they have from work into whatever they get obsessed with, and they can go really far with them.
Any former athletes, collegiate wise? They played any sports previous?
Yeah, I'd say since I moved to the Bay Area, which was predominantly software engineers that I worked with there in Google headquarters and now in New York, there's more of a sales presence here. So a lot of former athletes, a lot of former rowers, former tennis players, some gymnasts. So a good mix of former athletes I work with.
What do you think is the most common health and fitness challenges that a lot of these people who work full time for a big tech company like this versus the people who want to get into the combine or get into the NFL?
I think a couple things come to mind. I think lack of movement skill, lack of body
Mm.
awareness is probably a big one. I mean, athletes, again, you could say any cue, and I feel like it'll stick with an athlete because they've got an idea of where everything is in space. Whereas people working in a corporate environment, especially pretty stationary for probably the majority of their life working at a computer, they just don't have access to some of those movement patterns or have the awareness to respond to a cue in the same way.
Right.
But I would also just say that it sounds maybe confusing, but sometimes people just do too much in this environment. They're the type that are like recovering as hard as they can, sprinting as hard as they can, lifting as hard as they can. So just, people that are in that type A mindset of I always need to do more, find a new way to do it. Sometimes it's just having them do less, and it's a hard conversation to have with people.
Right. Aside from the strategy of having people do less, what other strategies do you think has worked well for you in order to work really well with progressing somebody who works for these kind of companies?
Yeah, it's another good question. I think just trying to find ways to tie it back into their goals, which are not necessarily weight room goals or strength and conditioning goals. Whereas with athletes, you could just say, hey, I want to get you to squat 405, and that's enough motivation to get them hungry for it. I think here tying it into like practices that are going to influence their ability to succeed in other arenas of life, specifically like achieving a higher role at the company or being able to pursue a side endeavor that they might be interested in, and just trying to bridge the gap of like what we do in the weight room, how that can influence those other arenas.
Right. What would those other arenas look like? Different kind of recreational sports, or how they want to feel when they're at home with their family? What are the other things?
Yeah, a lot of weekend warriors for sure that'll go play a sport recreation on the weekend. A lot of people will do long hikes or long runs. But then, yeah, a lot of people just want to focus on longevity, and there's a lot of research that's kind of come into the public spotlight recently of saying how strength and conditioning, specifically lifting, can be good for longevity. So I think a lot of people are very aware. They kind of know what they need to do, and they hear about it, whether it's media or just books that they read. And they come to me knowing like I don't know exactly the path to get there, but I want to make sure I can live a long time and continue to influence the world in the way that I do for a long time.
How many people go to you and be like, I just want to tone. I just want to like this. Can you just let me get rid of that?
Slim it down a little.
Yeah, I just want to cut.
I just want abs.
Yeah, I just want to get my arms big, but my waist. Do you get those type of clients?
I'll get people to come in and literally just grab a body part and be like, I want this to go.
See, I told you this is true. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, this, can you get rid of this? Like, slice it off for me.
Get that a lot.
How are they assigned to you?
So there's a bit of self-selection. So I was just speaking before about the offerings that we have. I do offer some free classes that just kind of if you build it, they'll come approach where like, hey, I teach this powerlifting class, or I teach this hypertrophy class, or this kettlebell class. So I can have more specified things that the people that want to resonate with that and they want to train that style can take advantage of it. But I also offer one-on-one personal training, and that one's more so I post my expertise, my background, and there's a handful of other trainers at Google with me, so people can kind of look at different bios of trainers and kind of align with what's going to work best for their goals.
Right. And in terms of goals, how well do you keep people to be straight on the line, to be consistent with their workouts or consistent with their programming? Like what kind of strategies or mental shifts do you normally have them do, or you shape them to get to their goal?
Yeah, I'm sure this resonates with you guys, but it almost feels like sometimes I'm providing accountability as a service. Like a lot of times people they know what they need to do, but they just need someone to ask if they're doing it and to tell them to do it. So that is a big part of what I'm doing is basically just, did you do what you need to do? Did you do your exercise? Did you do your program? But then on the mechanics side, like just make sure they have the right tools to succeed, making sure they can move in the right way. They understand the strategies for whatever strength quality they're pursuing.
If there's one thing that you wish majority of your clients would get, that would be to optimize their movement or to optimize their training performance, what would that be?
That's a good question. I think consistency is king. So I think just finding, I think it's also a product of me understanding what they like to do. I think the old me, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I'd probably say like, it's gonna be this particular exercise. This is the perfect workout routine. But now I think it's somewhere in the between that and just figuring out what they like to do and what they're gonna keep doing and finding a way to meet them in the middle.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
All right, we're moving on to our second drink right now. For everyone's first drink, everyone can you guess what that was for me? What do you think that was? Lucas, Julie, producer Haley, you guys got any question? Manny, do you have a shot at this? No pun intended.
To me, it tasted like a blended Highland whiskey.
Oh, Highland, he is getting warm.
John Alden.
Was it
Glenfiddich.
Glenfiddich? No, it is a Macallan 12.
That was the
everybody.
sherry.
That was the
Oh.
first
The
one.
Sherry Oak.
Sherry
Yes.
Oak.
Nice.
Bada
You got the
bing.
sherry. You got the Highland. It is a Highland.
Yes.
Manny, you were close. It was alcohol.
Manny was
Knew
not
it was
close. Manny
whiskey
was
from
the
in.
get-go.
So we are moving now to our second drink. So everyone, cheers. And then we are taking a little sip. Tell me what you smell, what you get. Get a little bit. There you go. And let me see this. We are on the Jersey City. Yes, that's the one. The Jersey City glass.
A little more peaty.
Correct.
It smells sweet though.
It is sweet.
I'm still on the first.
You're still on the
so-
first one.
yes.
Hold on.
Macallan,
Manny's babysitting. I want to get Manny on the fourth
Macallan 12.
That's the good stuff.
one. No.
Macallan 12.
The first one, yes. Good job. All right. All right. So we're going. We'll start from the beginning again. We'll start from. I'm going basically down through your LinkedIn profile.
Wait, let's take a step back.
Yeah.
I want to really know what a hybrid performance coach entails.
Yeah, that. To be fair, that was a title that was kind of established during the pandemic when it was in this hybrid workspace, and that, as you remember, that was the big buzzword of
Yep.
like hybrid this, hybrid that. So
Everything's hybrid. Yeah.
there was a time where, before people could go back to office, where we were doing a lot of live stream and broadcast quality production. So even though I was technically on site all the time, we were catering to different audiences because there were a large part of the demographic where we're still working from home and trying to find ways to engage and keep building the communities that we had built prior to the pandemic. So like not quite half my time, but maybe a quarter of my time was spent catering to that audience, building. We created a show, some mini podcasts, and we created a ton of live stream workouts. So I'd say that the hybrid in the sense was basically like in-person and virtual coaching. I need to update the title because it's pretty much back to exclusively in-person training. But
Right, because it's the
So you're
exactly
per-
the first thing I read when I open up your LinkedIn over here. It does say that full-time hybrid performance coach. That's what I got. So-
Full-time
on
performance
paper,
coach.
on paper
now.
that's still my title, but I think it needs to be updated.
I don't. I think it's fine. I think it's kind of cool. It adds a little mystery, a little intrigue. What does it mean? I don't know, but that's why we're here to ask all the tough questions. All right.
So, as a performance coach, what are your metrics for finding success with people, whether they're progressing in their fitness goals or not? Aside from them, like let's say somebody has numerical goals, which is like squat 315 pounds or something like that. Aside from the people who don't really care about what the number that they're lifting, what other metrics do you gauge whether or not they're making progress towards their goals or not?
Sure. Well, I'd say zooming out a little bit, in the corporate environment, being a vendor at a large company like this, I'd say some of the success metrics are just around utilization. Like how many people of this company actually utilize our service? How do we find ways to scale and get more people in the building? So there is a health promotion part of what I do that's whether it's planning events or thinking outside the box in ways to get new people in the doors, because that's a big ask from the client as a vendor. But in terms of my own personal success metrics and my own clients' personal success metrics, a lot of it goes back to consistency of, hey, I assigned you a program. We only meet once a week. How many days did you actually train on your own? So sometimes I'll sit people down at the end of the month, almost give a little bit of a report card of like, hey, we trained 5 times in person. You did 15 workouts on your own, and then I'll look at some of the more objective numbers, like you added X percentage to this lift. But I think most of the people I work with are pretty new to structured training like this, so a lot of it comes back to consistency of like, how did you do the job? Did you what I assigned for homework?
Right. Do you feel like majority of the people that you do train with lie to you about whether or not they're getting their workouts in or not?
Yeah, I mean, the self-reported data is always a little bit skewed. It's a hard metric to go off of, but I think then as soon as I ask a specific question about like, so how did this set of split squats feel? And then like you can kind of, it's a tell if they did it or not based on their facial response. Or
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I did like 100 pounds each hand.
Do they
5
feel
reps.
they lie to you just so they won't disappoint you?
I'm sure there's part of it. Yeah.
It's that deep parental thing, approval that we all
People
seek
pleaser.
for. Yeah.
I mean, when I tell someone I'm proud of them, it's a crazy facial like people haven't heard that in so long. Whether it's at home or in that environment and tech like that.
Life hack, personal trainer life hack. Use that.
Say that you're proud
Even
of your
if
client.
you're not. I just say once in a while, I say use that hack, and you'll see their eyes light up, and they're not getting it at home, but the fact that they're getting it from you, it makes their day. All right, cool. 100 pack. Let's sign up. You know what I mean? So
Like, how many workouts did you do out of the 5 assignments that I had you do? It's like,
Yeah.
just one. I'm proud of you.
there you go.
You got
But don't
one of them
overuse
in.
it. I'm telling you right
I'm
now,
proud of
don't
you.
overuse it. He's like, oh yeah, you're proud of me. You're proud of the other guy. No, like you use it sparingly. This is a
Your
life hack for
clients
all.
are like listening to this right now. Be like, all right, I see you,
Don't
Josh.
trust Josh with the sentence.
Joke's on you. They've never heard it. All right. All right. So, speaking of our listeners, all right, there's people who are in the industry. There are like Superfan Julie over there, who is a listener, not necessarily in the field per se, but is an avid practitioner. There are some people who are also wanting to get into the field. So let's go back a little bit on how things get started. And it says right here you were a personal trainer in 2013. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I feel like this interrogation.
Way back.
All right. All right.
Like, is this right?
We should put a lie detector test next time someone comes in. From one of those alphabet soup personal training things. And then let's go into the big thing which you're still involved with now, and that is Exos. All right. So it says that you got involved in Exos. Let me get this right. Do you know what it is? 2014. You started out as an intern. Yeah?
Yes,
Is
sir.
that right? Okay, cool. The LinkedIn is correct then. All right. All right. So anybody that wants to get into these big name companies, right? Your Google, your Facebook, your whatever it is, your
Spotify.
your OnlyFans. If you want to get into these big name companies, how does one get their foot into the door? What was your way of getting in?
Just walked into Google. Y'all hiring? no, but really.
No, I mean, internships are huge in fitness. So then I actually did several. One was unpaid, part of my degree at the college, and another one was, you could say it was paid, but it was well below minimum wage. And you kind of have to pay your dues in that regard. But I think, it's an old cliche, but it's not necessarily about how much you know, but who you know initially, and like learning other people in the industry, networking with other people in the industry is huge. And I had a nice opportunity to intern at Exos right after college and meet a lot of people in the industry and learn from some of the best in the industry and be able to use that networking to find the role at Google.
Aside from the alphabet soup of certifications that you can have right next to your name that probably won't fit in your Instagram page, what other skill sets do you need in order to be an excellent trainer that has none of those letters on it?
I'd say, especially for young coaches, the biggest one is critical thinking. It's a blessing and a curse that we've never had such easy access to information as we have right now, whether it's social media, whether it's YouTube articles. We've an overwhelming amount. So you could really learn a lot by just spending time reading. But there's also a lot of bad information out there and a lot of absolute opinions from people, right? That's kind of what sells. That's what the algorithm's going to push. Nobody wants to hear us saying, well, it depends on this and that. They want someone that says, always do this, never do this. So my word of advice to young coaches is like, be wary of those absolute opinions, the absolute stances that you're going to hear on social media, but follow leaders in the industry. I think getting online and following Gray Cook, following Dan John, following Mark Verstegen at Exos, and just finding the people that have done a great job of building businesses or creating followings in this business and follow and absorb as much as you can.
What does personal mean in personal trainer to you?
I think it's about relationship building. I think the soft skills are really underrated there. I think most of us coming out of school or coming off an internship you can ace every anatomy test, you can talk biomechanics, you can talk physiology, but the soft skills of being able to influence people and make friends, I think that's a really underrated piece, and that's a big part of the game with personal training.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's like it's not much of what you can teach somebody, but it's how you make them feel when you teach them something. So I feel like in the beginning stages of my training where, you could give them every single exercise and explain every scientific movement that goes with it, but they don't really care. It's kind of like in one ear and then out the other. And all they really care is like, did you ask me how my day was? Did you ask me if I feel the burn? Did you ask me if I feel better about myself? So it's like mentioning those things I think is very critical for especially newbie trainers to understand that when you come into the fitness industry, it's not just about, do you know how to properly train a squat? And if it's messed up, do you know how to fix it? But it's more of like, how can you get somebody to do the actual squat and come back and do it again? So
what do you think trainers, like the ones you see in your industry, other people you work with, or the things that you see when you network and you go to other events, what things should they sort of improve on? Like, what should they work on more? And what should they consider less, that it's not really that important?
Yeah, I think back to the soft skills of the basics of like, can you remember this person's name? Can you remember their job or what they do? You remember if they have a kid, if they have a pet, or things that they talk about that obviously are important to them early on. I think the ability to retain those, like when you come back, you walk into a gym and you hear, hey, what's up, Josh? That's a hell of a feeling when you're like, holy shit, someone recognizes me here. Maybe I belong here. Maybe I'm part of this. And I think they focus less on, I think obviously you need to know the basics. You need to know good cueing. You need to know anatomy and physiology, but you don't need to come out so strong with trying to show that you know all that stuff. I think getting someone to know you care about them first is going to be the best route.
I always say, get them talking. If they have kids, just get them talking about their kids. That's another life hack. You don't care about anyone's kids. But
Hey, wow.
I do. Any of my clients watching this, I care about your kids.
And
we talk about it all the time.
Sure.
Wow.
Hey, look, I'm sure you love your kids, but I won't love them as much as you do. You know what I mean? But I guess Lucas does have a point that if you are aware that their kid was in it's not tackle football, it's flag football, like if they were in a tournament and they came out second, how they feeling about it? I think that's kind of important too, when you understand the process that they've gone to as well. Are we on our next one already?
Maybe.
Well,
All
I'm just
right.
getting ready.
Well, okay, so let's get into it. All right.
Do we have to guess what this one was?
So let's get into what do you think the second one was.
Another
I'll give
Scotch.
you a hint. It was very expensive.
A blue label.
Wow. Okay, what do you guys think it was?
Angels Envy Rye.
One, I don't drink rye, so that can't be it.
Is it a Japanese whiskey?
That's what I was gonna say.
It is not Japanese.
Okay.
It's a
It is.
Scotch.
It is a blended Scotch.
Johnny Walker.
It is a Johnny Walker Blue Label.
Wow. You pulled out the big bottle.
Absolutely,
Nice.
guys. Well, it's been sitting there, and I know it's like expensive. But I'm looking at it, but I think drinks are better when they're shared.
Wow.
So there is a hint of peat. I don't
yeah,
recall the
no,
last time I had a
this-
blue label, but
A hint
there
of
was peat, there was smoke.
A hint
So
of what?
Peat,
Pete.
Grass.
I have a friend named Pete.
Yes.
But he's definitely
It's-
not in here.
No, okay. It's very smoky. It's very oaky.
Tastes like grass.
A little bit, you know.
It's like smoked moss, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
moss.
that's what it is. And so Johnny Walker is a blend. It's not all of one place. It's a blend of different scotches, and there is hints of some peat, which is coming from the Isla. We're not here for that. That's not the Scotch podcast, all right? But now we're on to our third one. So let's get into it. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
I'll stay on the second one.
No, that's the third one.
This is the third
This is
one?
the third one. There you go. You're up to date, Manny.
Yeah, I don't
Manny's
even know where I
getting
am in
slip
space.
things.
Yeah, there you go.
Man's getting loose.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it here first. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you taste. What do you get?
Very tasty.
Smells like vanilla on the nose.
Very tasty, says man. You
Orange
like
vanilla?
this?
Yeah.
It's a little
Ooh,
drier.
a little drier. Okay. What else do you guys get?
I think it's from the Japans.
From the Japan, says one person. Okay. What do you get, Julie?
Vanilla on the nose.
Vanilla on the nose. You're right. There are vanilla notes on this.
A little
Hey, we're
orange,
on it
maybe.
today.
Yes.
Orange. You're on
Definitely
fire.
not Scotch. Definitely not Scotch.
I can't confirm nor deny. We'll wait on this
But
a little bit.
also-
but enjoy this. This is a treat.
like,
This is one of my favorites. I will
Could be
tell
a
you.
bourbon.
Could be a bourbon.
Could be a bourbon. It's
one
a
of-
little sweeter.
very smooth. One of my favorites. All right.
You go.
Is that a Canadian whiskey?
Oh, Canadian. No, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
No shade to
I-
Canadians.
sorry.
You
I feel
are
insulted.
Nice people.
We don't drink Canadian whiskey over here. No disrespect to anyone from our neighbors up north or
Now
whatnot.
we know. Never bring shots.
No
Yes.
Crown Royale for John.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back into your current training right now. What is your current training at the moment? Just full disclosure, I met Lucas through an RKC. So we both assisted in RKC level 1 at
What is
Iron-
RKC?
RKC is the Russian kettlebell certification. And we held it at the greatest gym ever. It was in Ironbound Performance in Jersey City, New Jersey. We held it last year.
No, this year, sir.
Oh, was it this year?
Yes.
We've gone through a lot.
January.
It was
This year.
January. Wow. Okay. It felt like it was ages ago. And that's where we found out that,
Good, sir.
there's another RKC that lives in Jersey City. And that's basically where we met. And from what I understand, you have a powerlifting background. And according to your LinkedIn, you are a certified club coach from USA Powerlifting. So let's touch base. Let's touch up on what that is and what are you doing right now?
Yeah, so that certification is entry level to the sport. So working with new people that have never competed before, I'd say that's probably my specialty. I do train people in nationals and higher levels, but really a club level is a local meet, a competition that's going to happen with a mix of beginners and people with more experience. So I'd say that's more my expertise in the sport of powerlifting, is basically taking someone that's never powerlifted before and gearing them up for their first competition.
Forcing them into their first meet.
Bit of peer pressure. for
Hard
sure.
launch.
You
Bit of peer
better
pressure.
lift that shit.
I like where this is going. All right, go ahead.
But yes, I do have a powerlifting meet coming up in a few weeks. So my training has been very focused on squat, bench, deadlift, very traditional. I'm following a Juggernaut training systems program, which is just kind of a
That
linear.
was my next question, which is like, what are you doing? What do you follow? What are your influences in powerlifting?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, I haven't worked with him personally, but I've just read a lot from Chad Wesley Smith and the guys over at Juggernaut Training Systems. And I like their approach to peaking for powerlifting and their style of periodization. Very linear, kind of old school, starting with higher volume, reducing volume as you get closer to the meet, increasing intensity. And I like that it's simple. I've tried undulating programs like the Conjugate West Side program. I've tried other Soviet style powerlifting programs and they're fun, but I'm not looking to spend 20 hours a week in the gym. I'm looking for something I could just kind of get done after a day of work. So the Juggernaut systems are pretty straightforward and pretty grueling. I don't want to undersell them. They're pretty grueling early on. They love their phases of 4 or 5 sets of 8 reps on each exercise, which for those that have done powerlifting before, that's a lot for a back squat or a lot for a deadlift.
Yeah, that's cardio right there.
Yeah.
Anything more than 5 is cardio.
Yeah.
You're not the only one. Superfan Julie, you're also going to be competing at this powerlifting meet, yes?
Yes, I am.
All right.
In 2
Ooh.
weeks.
In 2 weeks. All right. So,
Good luck.
what are we doing right now in these 2 weeks? Do you feel like, 2 weeks, a week's time is a good time we should taper off at this moment?
We're starting to taper, yeah. Really dropping the volume, pushing the intensity, starting to feel heavy doubles, heavy singles. We're both cutting and trying to make weight at a lower weight class. I've actually dropped 2 weight classes from last summer, so I've been on a super long cut. Last summer, I competed at 200 pounds, and I'm trying to make weight at 165 for this meet. So it's
Let
been,
everyone know your numbers. Let's put it out
We
there.
would be in the same category.
We're not interviewing chumps here. Like, let's what do we got? And I'm assuming it was 2 weight classes up, right?
Yeah, so I'll say as a disclaimer, this was at 200 pounds, my PR numbers. I'll give an idea of what I'm shooting
Strength is strength. Let's,
for. So my best squat was 500 pounds, and that's what I was it'd been a lifetime goal, and honestly, that's why I bulked last year. Is like I'm getting 500 pounds. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna gain weight if I need to gain weight, and I was able to pull that off. Best bench was 325, and that's paused in powerlifting competition. So touch and go is probably a little higher than that. And best deadlift was 535, which at the time was about a triple body weight, and that was before had bulked up. So
And I have to let everyone know that it was conventional,
conventional, the only way
as
to do
God
it.
intended. All right.
I mean,
Look, I'm a sumo. I'm a
hey,
sumo puller, so if I'm competing, I'm definitely doing sumo. So I get it, but I have much respect to anyone who pulls conventional
Yeah.
too. But I guess it
You guys haven't discovered the trap bar yet, so.
trap bar. What's
trap
that?
bar is fun. Hey, if I could pull sumo, I would. I like to throw shade because I just can't get there without my hips feeling like they're gonna snap.
Don't you feel like it's not for everybody? Like it really depends on your levers and how your body structure is. Like
I mean, you go to meets, you still see probably 50-50. In the smaller weight classes, leaning more towards sumo, but when you start to get to 200 pounds and above, it's probably 50-50.
it doesn't even matter at that point when you're that big, that wide.
Yeah.
So you're 2 weight classes down, and where are you looking to get this time around?
I would love a 200 plus kilo squat. So it's 440, 450 pound squat. So it's probably about a 10% drop, which I've lost 15% body weight. So if I can hit anything that's 15% or above of what I hit in my last one, I'll call that a win. But I'm shooting for probably a 200 kilo, which is 440 squat.
Okay.
Love to get a bench close to 3. Been feeling pretty good in training, repping 275. So I think I could get pretty close to that. Shoot for a 300-ish bench. And would love to pull 5. So I'm trying to maintain as much of that total as I could from a higher weight class. But these will all be PRs at this body weight.
Well, at least I'm glad that you understand that as you lose weight, you're not going to reach the same numbers as you did before. And this is the thing with anyone who tries to cut weight. You're not going to hit the numbers that you were when you are a bigger person. I think like Newton said best that mass equals force times acceleration. So the bigger you are, the greater the force of attraction.
Does any of your clients ever understand that concept where if somebody is in a bulking phase, which I assume not much of your clients are wanting to be in a bulking phase because all of them want to cut down and want to trim some fat.
Yeah.
So does majority of your clients understand that like after the first year or two of seriously training, that when you are at your peak, whatever their peak may be, that when you start losing weight, you also lose strength, or are they normally oblivious to that idea?
I'd say most people I work with are somewhat oblivious to that because they just haven't got to that training age yet. So they're still in that point where you can lose weight and get stronger rapidly and not see the contraindication. But some of my powerlifting clients that have been in the game for a while, they understand that like you lose 5 pounds, your bench is probably going to go down a couple pounds. It seems to be those two lifts, especially the bench and body weights, tend to correlate pretty closely.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll make a technical improvement and still be able to squeeze out a PR at a lower body weight with some of the lifts, but specifically bench, I feel like mass moves mass when it comes to benching.
Yep.
Now, we mentioned the RKC, and that's how we met. And a lot of times kettlebells are, a lot of people think of it as like a fat loss tool. A lot of people use it in group classes and high intensity types of training. But is there ways that you incorporate kettlebells into your powerlifting training? Do you use it at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do use it specifically as a warm up. I do some accessory work. I would say the 2 big ones are probably swings and get ups. Most of my days warming up for powerlifting, it's a very Soviet approach, but you'll see me do a couple sets of get ups, a couple sets of swings, and then just get right under a barbell. So for me, that's, if you look at my tool belt, that's kind of like my hammer, my screwdriver. The swings are kind of like my hammer. The get-ups are kind of like my screwdriver. So they're handy. I keep them there all the time, no matter what I'm building. But sometimes I'll also use the get-up as, for me, the get-up, Turkish get-up, for those that are unaware to that, is a pretty complex movement, but it's literally going from the ground to getting up with a weight over your head. The Turkish get-up is medicinal for me in the sense that if I tweak something or something to feel a little off, I feel like just doing some light reps of Turkish get-up generally just helps me feel better. So I'll use it on active recovery days or as cool downs after like a deadlift session.
You feel it as that as an activation tool, or is it more like an assessment of where you are in the day?
A little bit of both. I think you can use the tool both ways. For me, it probably is a strengthening and engagement exercise for my rotator cuff and shoulder, just because a lot of what I'm doing right now is just pressing with my shoulder blades pulled back. And the shoulder blade and the shoulder is meant to move in a lot of different directions. So I don't do a lot of that in the rest of my powerlifting training. So for me, it is a little bit complementary, but I will use it as a diagnostic tool once in a while of like, let's just see how I'm feeling with this today.
What usually is your diagnostic tools for your clients? Like what's the toolbox that you use when it comes to prepping them for their workouts?
Do they do get-ups and swings also?
Not everybody. Some snippet of the get up I use with most people, whether it's an arm bar or a windmill or just rolling around. I'll use those variations. It's pretty rare that I'll use the whole get up unless I have someone that's like clearly a great mover, because with the lack of body awareness, the effort it takes to just teach somebody to do that.
Good Lord.
You guys know that.
God, the patience it takes for someone to learn to get up is wild. The buy-in rate, I would say, I don't know, maybe 30-40%. For me, I'm just
Without a weight.
Mine's like
Just
0%.
remembering what you need to
It's
do
a hard
next.
thing it's a hard thing to speak to why, like, people are like, what's the point of this? And it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
the easiest thing to answer either. It's one of those
What does
things
this do? You know?
It's one
Yeah.
of those things that just feels good, and we know it because we've done it, and it's obviously a good tool to have, but it's a hard one to clearly sell to somebody. So I'll use
Yeah.
it sparingly. The swings I use with a lot of people though, and I think the swings,
I think everybody should swing.
especially in powerlifting, are underrated. For example, during the pandemic, I didn't touch a bar for almost a year for deadlifts, but all I did was just a shit ton of swings, heavy swings, light swings, different swings, and came back after a year, tested my deadlift, and it was still within 90% of my lifetime max. And I hadn't touched a bar in a year. So it really does wonders, especially if you're doing them explosively for the deadlift.
I'm trying to say that swings is the greatest exercise of all time ever created. And I want to let it be known.
Says it all the time.
Yeah.
Says the
Yeah,
team
I see
leader.
dead bugs are the greatest exercise of all time. But
Yeah. So, all right. So we discussed. Me and Lucas have actually been to a whiskey fest, and that's why I've learned about your love for whiskey.
No. It was a craft brew fest, sir. I'm literally looking at the
Oh.
glass right now. Sorry. Just saying.
Correction.
Whiskey,
It
craft-
wasn't.
Craft brew, same
I
thing.
was drunk
It
at
was a
the
blur
time, and I forgot everything what happened. But from the bits that I do remember, we were talking about there's an RKC level 2 coming up, and we have both talked about the Beast Tamer challenge that you are trying to achieve in February.
What is the
that
Beast
correct?
Tamer challenge?
What is the Beast Tamer, you asked? Thank you for asking. The Beast Tamer challenge, for those that are unaware, it is a challenge that has started from the RKC back in ye old days of 2002, I think. Don't quote me. But it's basically a challenge where for men, you have to use the Beast Kettlebell, which is 48 kilos, 106 pounds, and you have to do a strict military press, a pull-up with the 48 attached to your waist, and a pistol squat, and it has to be strictly judged and observed by a master instructor, which in February, coming up in IPA, the greatest gym ever,
Dan John.
that Dan John will be observing, that you are also attempting this. I say you also because I too am also attempting this as well. And this is my white whale.
This is your
all right?
bucket list.
I've been trying to achieve this. It is my third attempt. This will be my third attempt at this. What does that mean for you? Why do you want to achieve this? And where did this come from?
Yeah, it's a legendary accomplishment. I mean, it's a short list of people that have done it. I've looked at the list, and especially if being in the kettlebell world and knowing some of the people that are in that kettlebell world, that you see the names on the list, and there's some legends on there. So one, I'd love to just be a part of that. Two, especially when it comes to kettlebells, there's not a lot of other things to shoot for in terms of goals. I've completed RKC level 2. I've done the snatch test, which I didn't love, but I made it through a couple times. I've done getting in weird wormholes where I get obsessed with testing different exercises, but that's the one that I feel like scares me a little bit. And I think it's good for me to feel scared once in a while. And when it comes to lifting, there's not many things, powerlifting, but that's one where I'm like, oh shit, that's going to be real.
Where do you think you have a hard time doing out of those 3 lifts?
I think at this body weight, the press is going to be the hard part for me.
That's me. I'm not a presser. Like, that's going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. I've come very close. Haley witnessed it. I've stuck the sticking point, but I lost my footing. So a lot of bad luck has happened. So it's going to be very challenging. So let's do it together.
Let's do it.
And it will be on next February 13th. So
Valentine's Day weekend.
yes.
Wait, do you have your shirt across like both sides? Like
No, just one
Just
one
one
arm.
Okay, I
Just
was
one
like, that
arm.
would be creepy.
Have
Yes.
you
And
thought
pistol,
about
one
the
one
Secret
leg.
Service
Okay.
snatch test?
What is that?
The Secret Service snatch test is it's basically 2 snatch tests. It's 200 snatches in 10 minutes with the 24 kilo.
I had a hard time doing 100.
So Dan John says
Fighting
that
for my
that
life.
Dan John will he says that he believes that it's the true RKC2 level goal where you should do press the beast and do 200 snatches in 10 minutes and do that within an hour. And that should be like everyone, that's how everyone should be judged for their level 2. And that's something, I don't know if I want to add that to your goals, but that's,
But you just did.
but I just did. So that is the challenge that I
pressure.
sent to you. But you know, that's also one of my bucket list things also. Just achieve it once, never do it again. You know, buy once.
210 minutes with a 24?
24 kilos.
And you got to press.
And I got to press the beast.
Yikes.
And then achievement unlocked. You achieve everything you want to achieve. Good things will happen
You
to
collect
you.
them all like Thanos.
Yeah.
Check,
Would you
check.
call that hybrid training? Because you have to do a lot of cardio over the.
It's you can't be a chump. You got to do your cardio and you got to be strong.
And
And
didn't answer his question. Do you consider that as hybrid training?
yeah, I'm already hybrid. What are
There
you
you
talking
go.
about?
Welcome to the hybrid
I'm
community.
hybrid,
buddy.
baby.
Let's go.
I gas up in those special parking stations. All right.
There you go.
So yeah. Okay. So on to our last whiskey, guys. Before you do, I want you to take a good whiff of this. All right.
Wait, so was the last
What
one
was this
Nika?
Oh, the last one. We didn't even discuss about the last one. What do you think that one was?
That was the easy one, yeah.
Is that Nika?
I think so.
I've never had it before.
It was a Nika coffee grape.
Nice.
This is my
Oh.
favorite Japanese whiskey.
That was our first time having it.
Nice.
Oh, what do you think?
It's really good.
Ooh.
Good balance of like sweetness, very classy and smoky.
Yeah.
It almost tastes like peanut butter.
Well, you're on the 4th one right now.
Oh, here we go.
We're spoiling it.
Yeah.
I'm on the
So
peanut butter.
we are now on the 4th one, and
Yes,
cheers, everybody. Let's take a good whiff. Take a good whiff.
It smells
Butter.
like
it
smells sweet.
Oh my god!
It smells like a protein shake.
Yes.
It's a yoo-hoo.
It's very sweet.
Does anybody know what it is? I'm just gonna whip it out.
Skewers?
Is
Or
it
something?
That's what
screwball?
he said.
Skewers.
Is it screwball or something?
Oh, screwball.
It
Yeah.
is a screwball.
Nice.
Peanut butter whiskey.
pretty
It
good.
tastes exactly as it sounds. It is a whiskey that tastes like peanut butter.
Yep.
It's
It's not
super
bad.
sweet though.
Have you
Yeah.
had this before?
No, it's not.
I don't
bad,
know
though.
if it's a pure whiskey per se.
It's almost mocha.
It's more like a liqueur,
Yeah.
but it is so peanut butter.
It does taste like
What's the
mocha.
proof on that? Same as the others?
35%. It's less. It's
Wow.
definitely less proof than the others. But
not bad.
oh boy, this
I
definitely.
feel it. That's for sure.
What do you guys think? What do you think? So in all, screwball.
Mm-hmm.
Last one was Nika.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your favorite was. Like, let me know. Tell me what you think. Second one was the Blue Label, the most expensive one. And then we had the Macallan 12.
Sherry oak.
You like the Sherry Oak Macallan. I know Haley's tasting notes, so she's definitely a Macallan person.
Sister.
I think I like the Johnny Walker. It was good stuff.
You like the Blue Label.
Yeah.
Expensive taste, I see.
Gotta be the screwball.
It is the least alcohol tasting one.
That's the one.
It tasted like a protein shake,
There
and
you
it
go.
really does.
Julie, what was your fave?
I think I like the Nika. And
Nice.
Macallan will definitely come second.
Nice.
I think the Nika was going to be my number one, so Nika's definitely in. I haven't tasted Blue Label in a while. I do appreciate like how smoky it is. I'm a fan of peaty whiskey. Do you like peaty whiskey?
Yeah, it had a lot of depth. It
Yeah.
felt like it stayed with me for a while.
All right.
This is my kind of podcast, though. I pulled up with a protein shake, and these guys have flights of whiskeys. I was like, oh, whiskey, okay.
You come in with your gains, we destruct.
Different kind of game.
So we got to come in. We got to do another interview if you don't mind. Sometime in the future that we're gonna do a workout podcast. So that's definitely gonna be coming up.
Shots in the beginning.
Balance.
You can do it right now, actually.
And post. Yeah, there you go.
All right. So before we go to the finisher round, anything you'd like to add? Any other questions you want to touch up on? Any other goals you're trying to achieve? Like, you got the Beast Tamer coming up. You got the powerlifting in about 2 weeks. Anything on the agenda for you? Things you want to achieve before you die?
That's a good question because I don't want to pigeonhole myself as a powerlifter. I'd say that this powerlifting meet for me was honestly more of a forcing function to just keep with my cut because I'd been kind of stalling on my body weight, and I was like, man, do I want to just go back to a bulk or do I want to stay with this? So registering for a meet at a lower weight class for me was more like I'm going to have to keep cutting to make weight for this competition. So I'd say the actual performance at the powerlifting meet wasn't necessarily top of mind. Obviously, I'm still going to train and do my best for it, but it's it's a little bit egotistical, but it's been very physique motivated for me this year. Last year, my goal is get as strong as you possibly can, even if it's at the cost of gaining a ton of body fat, which worked well and I hit big numbers, but had a bit of a dad bod. So now I'm like, I'm going to just focus on getting as lean and as trim as I possibly can. And even if that requires a little bit of a strength drop. So I'd say outside of the prep for this powerlifting meet has been mainly bodybuilding techniques. Been a big fan of Mike Israel's content on YouTube and Renaissance periodization. So learning a lot of different bodybuilding techniques in terms of like just modifications to exercise, increase range of motion, or feel a stretch in the muscle, concepts that are somewhat novel to me as a powerlifter or as a kettlebell practitioner. It's pretty rare that you're intentionally putting yourself in such a disadvantaged position to feel a big stretch in the bottom. It's something you really don't want to do in powerlifting. So I've been adopting those and just trying to increase tools to the toolbox and look at more bodybuilding type movements.
Very nice. Very good.
So get jacked, get strong.
Do you feel better as like, what do you feel like as a big boy lifting big weights, or you want to be like this hoochie guy, tight, what feels better for you?
Man, I feel like the grass is always greener. When I'm cutting, I'm like, man, I wish I was bigger. Then when I'm bigger, I'm like, man, I wish I was cut. So
this is the constant thing.
This is a very honest.
It's never good enough for us. All right. When we're big, we want to be small. When we're small, we want to be big. So
it's put me in the gray area for too long though, where I don't bulk or cut. I just have been maintaining for a long time. So the last couple of years, I've just committed to like, I'm just gonna bulk and see what happens. I'm gonna cut, see what happens. So I've been trying to follow a little bit more of this bodybuilding style, like progression over time.
All right, very good. Any other questions before we go into the finisher round? And this will be our last thing we got to do. And I was going to ask just Lucas, but we're going to share it around the room.
Oh, no.
Finisher, this is our rapid fire segment. And then we'll be good. Oh, there we go. And we'll be good to go. All right.
So I'll be the one. I'll be the one
let's
handle this.
Manny.
All right. So this is the rapid fire section. You have approximately 5 seconds to answer this question. If not, you go.
Unless you want to explore more into it.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to ask you one over the other, or just generally a question, and you have to answer it as fast as
And we'll go around the room and be close to the mic too, as well.
All right. So we'll just say ladies, Lucas, and Josh. All right. So we'll start off with the ladies.
Yes.
Ladies, squats or deadlifts?
Ooh, I want to say squats.
I'm a deadlift girl.
Okay.
Deadlifts.
I'm a deadlift girl as well.
I'm a squats girl. So there you go.
Wow. Okay.
Do we need explanations for that?
No, I think it's personal preference.
All right. Ladies, ice bath or sauna?
Sauna.
Lucas?
Ice for sure.
I'm going to say sauna. I've never done an ice bath.
Yeah, I would say sauna. I like to see sweaty men.
Whoa.
Wow.
Nice.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go.
Hey.
Especially Josh with
No
his-
judgment.
Wow.
Let's go.
This is a judgment.
Cold
zone.
is brutal. I'm going to say ice baths are brutal, no?
Yeah, in ice baths, you can't really laugh.
You like ice baths?
I like cold. I grew up in upstate New York where it's always cold in the winter. And
Yeah, all right.
Fair enough.
Moving on.
It gets too hot.
Best pizza topping.
Oh, I like
Ladies?
olives.
I thought you already know what I was gonna say,
I already
and
know what
that's
Manny's gonna
crazier.
say.
That is crazy.
Part of me has died.
my
Full
God.
disclosure,
I will
I hate
say-
olives. Go ahead.
Prosciutto.
Prosciutto.
Ooh.
Yeah, any meat for sure.
Yeah.
I can't just say that.
Oh, there's a lot of meat you can choose from.
You can't just say that.
You know.
Now
You know,
I'm in Jersey, I'm going to say gabagool.
Gabagool.
Nice.
Are you part Italian?
No.
No. All right.
So
Watch The
well.
Sopranos.
Adopted Jersey.
Yeah. Pepperoni is the classic. All right. You're gonna break my heart with this one.
Pineapple,
Hey.
baby. Let's go.
I do like pineapples.
As a New York.
Wow.
If we never hang out again after this, I understand.
If you have to choose,
This is such a West Coast thing, and
if you had to
I'm
eat
gonna
a
let-
slice,
say that.
I'm gonna let this slide. That's
if
fine.
you had to eat a slice of olive pizza or pineapple,
Can I
pizza?
die? All right. Next question. Next question.
Oh no.
Fitness book everyone should read. Ladies,
Ooh. There's this one kettlebell book that Luke had on the table. I can't remember the name of it. But like that opened my eyes to like how important like kettlebells were, and just like anybody that's into fitness, just like such like a foundational thing that everybody should understand and know.
okay, so Kettlebells by Luke.
Okay. There is a book out by, actually, I just started. It is by Doc Hardle. It is about strength and conditioning, and I took a workshop from him for powerlifting, and not all powerlifting, including military press. So yeah, like I think it's a different take from what I'm used to from a kettlebell person.
Cool.
I'll give 2. Every Day is Game Day by Mark Verstegen. It's kind of an intro to the Exos methodology and their systems. Game changer for when I was in college. I'd say that, and Intervention by Dan John. Read both of those when I was young, and it really helped morph my idea of training, especially as a young coach getting into the field.
Nice.
One, I can't read, but if I could,
Okay, there's YouTube
There's
videos.
Yeah.
audio books.
there's audiobooks. There you go. Some
He
people
doesn't understand English
like-
too, so
I can't
unless it's in
understand.
Tagalog,
Yeah.
he's not reading, he's not
Read
listening
But
to it.
I'll just say Super Training by Berko Shamsky.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Mine is Soul of a Trainer, Thomas Plummer.
Oh, Thomas Plummer.
All right.
You've met Mark Verstegen a few times, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met Tom Plummer too. He's very straightforward, and he's no bullshit. So
Yeah, there you go.
very good.
Non-fitness books everyone should read. So your favorite book that you wish that other people would read?
I don't know. Can we circle back?
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's go with Josh first. Give the ladies a break.
Since I can't read, I like
Best
to,
YouTube video.
I like to say The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Someone is watching a lot of Game of Thrones.
I'd say you could argue this is fitness, especially for young coaches, but How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie
Ooh, that's
was
also my next
another
option.
game changer for me as a young coach. It really just got me on the soft skills that we talked about before.
Yep. Mine would be Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Ladies,
Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde.
Mine is 101 essays that will change the way you think. And it's just pretty much like a mindset book of how to move through life.
Next one.
Yes.
Best movie.
Oh, wow.
So let's go this way since they've always started. Let's go with Josh first.
Fifth Element.
Really?
Next,
What?
That's not what I was expecting you
okay,
to
Starship
say.
Troopers.
I
Those
knew-
are my
yes,
top
I
2.
knew it.
Starship Troopers is so fantastic. Starship Troopers is great. It's also on Netflix right now. Go watch it.
Rocky 3.
Rocky
Oh,
3.
Rocky.
Whichever
3.
one he fights the Russian guy.
That's Rocky 4.
Rocky 4.
Rocky
Okay,
4.
Rocky 4 is the best Rocky.
Rocky
Rocky
4.
3 is where he fought Mr. T.
Mr. T. No.
Ah.
Rocky 4 for sure.
Adventures Endgame.
Avengers Endgame.
I literally I will just put it on in the background.
You have to
I
watch
will
it.
watch it. Yeah, and I have to watch it. That's one movie that I will say like, all right, I will always watch it when it's on.
I'm just going to say Dune because I just watched the first one and I still need to
Nice.
watch the second
You
one.
haven't seen the second one.
Oh, the second one is.
It's on Max. We're gonna
Wait.
we're gonna turn it on
Yeah,
right now.
mine's gotta
After
be-
this.
yeah,
we're
mine's
gonna
Dune
watch
2.
Dune. Dune 2 is better than Dune
2
1.
is amazing.
We were
so-
flying recently and then I finally let's look into Dune because it's out. So
From what they say, the book is better, but that means you're required to read it. But so
And then we don't read around here.
yeah. No, we're not a reading podcast. Yeah.
All right, next question.
What was your movie?
I said Dune 2.
Really?
Oh, you
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't even read the book, nothing.
Dune 2 is so good.
I just watched
Okay,
Dune 2 and
now-
that's it.
Now I have to watch.
Wow, you
didn't
had
watch
Dune
it.
1 and you had Dune 2. That's
Nice.
I
wild.
mean, that's probably the most recent one that I watched. So, and I can't think of any other movies. So,
Okay.
all right. Toughest workout finisher, and I guess we'll say this: what is the toughest workout finisher as a superset? So we have two. What are like the toughest two exercises that you can stack on each other?
If you asked me 8 years ago, it would have been the kettlebell snatch test. It was the toughest thing I had to do to achieve. But as of right now, I've been doing a lot of high rocks programming. So my training, I like to combine snatches with sled pushes. That's what I think is brutal for me, and I think it's like
You're confused. You're
This guy's
baffled.
twisted.
I am. Welcome to my world. All right, go ahead.
I mean, you love it and you hate it, but the Aerodyne, anything on the Aerodyne bike,
That's what
Hell
I was
yeah.
gonna say.
Airdyne, assault bike, echo bike. It is brutal. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
agree with you on that one.
yeah, anything with the air bike is brutal.
True. I'm trying to remember what we did at IPA.
Oh,
It was like box jumps, and like it's similar to burpees, where it's like the
sprawls.
sprawls.
We don't do
No,
burpees.
no, but it was like with the weights too. Like it's kind of like a burpee, and then you bring your weights up. You do an overhead press.
Oh,
Squat.
Some people call it a man maker.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, no,
Makers.
but it's 2024. We don't. We,
Yeah,
just, we
makers.
don't. We don't.
What is this called?
No, it's called just a maker right now
Makers.
because we gotta. We're trying to, you know.
The human maker.
Yeah.
Makers.
Sure.
The maker.
The maker.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's brutal.
simple and sinister.
Uh,
Josh,
it's-
explain what that is.
It's 5 minutes of swings and 10 minutes of get-ups. You're doing 100 swings and you're doing 10 get-ups. It sounds simple, but it is brutal. And at the end, it's kind of rough. And the sinister goal is with the Beast Kettlebell, which if you do achieve, you go on the Strong First website. And I know someone that's been on it, and you know it's rough. It's a solid finisher.
Yeah. Mine would be assault bike paired with the ski erg. Just straight murder. No rest in between. There you go. All right, next question. What do you ask Google about the most?
What's the weather?
What's the weather?
Honestly, yeah, there's
Okay.
probably every day.
Anytime I feel any kind of pain, I'm like researching, like what is this?
WebMD.
Yeah, WebMD.
Okay.
Every time I watch any show, I'm looking up who actors in this show. I don't know why. I'm always like trying to recognize faces. Who is this guy? What else was he in?
You won't know because I always clear my search history, but
Hiding.
It's like just a bunch of names,
but
female names.
as of
Oh,
recently,
no.
since I'm watching the Olympics, the athletes that have the most advantage are those that train at the highest elevation because they naturally increase their EPO, which is a game changer. So if you're able to train, and US has the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, which is at a 4,000 foot elevation. Those athletes definitely have advantage. And look, the US has the most medals out of every country, so suck it.
Oh wow.
Are you betting on the Olympics or why are you looking
I can't confirm nor deny. I don't know if we condone.
There's like a parlay
Unless-
happening somewhere.
Exactly. Unless they sponsor us, then yeah, absolutely. You know. MGM, yeah. Bet MGM. Let's go. All right, we're looking for sponsors.
All right, next
Wait,
one.
you didn't tell us.
Oh, cooking recipes. Easily.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
High protein.
What was the last thing
cooking.
What was the last recipe you
Kare
Googled?
kare.
Curry.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
That has so
My blood
much-
pressure just went up.
That is a
There's
peanut
so
butter
much peanut
oxtail stew
We
in
didn't
Filipino
realize
cooking.
how much peanut butter you have to put in a dish like that, which is like 1 cup of peanut butter.
Yeah.
It is crazy. It's like 3 servings.
But just stew, so it's like
It's a-
It's a ox-
lot.
it's thick.
It's a big thing.
Oh
And
man.
it's oxtail
It's
and so
oxtail.
much oil
It
in
is.
it.
So rich.
Anyway, that's what I Googled the most.
Yes.
All right, second to the last question here.
Okay.
Big back or big chest?
Big chest, baby.
Wait, depends who's answering the question.
No explanation needed.
Big chest Okay, that's for Josh.
Big pecs, write big checks.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
That's
Hey,
right,
big pecs.
I'm a girl, and it's such an insult to be called a big back. So, like, you know what I mean?
This was only for Lucas, mind you. I would never ask a woman this.
Do you want a big chest or a big back, ladies?
Oh my gosh. Luckily, there's no HR department in this podcast.
Can I say like big chest and like a strong back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Miss
There you go.
USA over there. Okay.
Gotta write those big checks. So.
All right. And we're down to the last one, guys.
And the last question: death row meal.
Oh, don't go around. Go the other way.
I don't know, something with rice.
That's what I was thinking.
No. Stop.
Anything that you can put
You're
on
about to
rice.
die. They're about to guillotine you. So you can't just have rice, okay? So we'll go back to you. Haley, death row meal.
Kare, as Manny mentioned, and lechon. Because if I'm gonna die anyway, it's going to be like the fattiest things that I could think of right now.
There you go, Lucas.
Yeah.
I'm having about a 3-inch thick, 3-pound prime rib, medium rare.
Ooh.
From
Still thinking about his
I
protein.
mean, the
before
House
he
of Prime
dies.
Rib is pretty good. But
House of Prime Rib.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a porterhouse steak from Keen Steakhouse in Midtown, and ice cream cake from
Oh, you
Carvel.
don't get two
Carvel.
choices?
Fudgy the
a
whale.
Fudgy the Whale cake and that's it. Just kill me right there. You know? All right.
Yeah,
so you
you're-
guys gotta
You're gonna get a poison Fudgy the whale.
yeah. Give me a better thing other than rice, guys.
Death row meal.
We gotta end the show. We have to end the show much better than this.
The highest
All right.
quality sushi that you can find on
Ooh.
That's good. All right, I'm gonna go with something Vietnamese then, like a bom cha Hanoi, which is like a vermicelli dish with like meatballs and then it's very sliced grilled like pork. That's super, super good with like fresh veggies on the side.
Where would I find this?
It's hard to find it here.
Ooh.
Definitely find in the Bay
I have to go to
Area.
Hanoi to you.
I made it for Luke before. I haven't made it in a while, but
Okay.
it's
All right.
good.
Next time we have this interview, we're making that. right
Yes.
here. All right.
there. Oh, so
Okay.
it's a cooking show now.
It's a cooking show.
Cooking show.
We are working out and
Drinking
we're
show,
eating
name anything.
right after. All right. That was a lot of fun, guys. What do you guys
Yeah.
think? All right, we're a little over our time, and that's fine. We had a lot. It's all about the friends we meet along the way, right?
Yes.
So anything that you would like to promote for yourself? Where can people find you if you want to be found?
yeah. I think I'm not super active on social media, but it's a lot of food and lifting posts, so nothing business oriented. But if you're just curious what I'm up to, first initial, last name Dunham 33 is my handle on there, and my email if anybody's interested in reaching out, especially if you're in the New Jersey or New York area and you want to connect, lucasdunham33@gmail.com.
Very good.
There you go.
So we will have more interviews coming up in the future, and we'll have more. We'll have Lucas back on the show. We'll have Julie back on the show. I think this was a lot of fun. I definitely want to have like a workout component. I definitely want to have like some noodles, some rice, and then some gabagool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, stop making Manny drink.
I'm good.
This is part of the contract that we
Yeah, he's trying
agreed
to hold it
to. All right.
I just finished my AA meetings recently. And,
I think-
there you go.
I
Now
think
we're
I-
drinking on the podcast.
I turned him on to peanut butter whiskey, so that's a good thing. I think this is a win for us. All right.
Okay.
So we don't have a sign up, but anyways, this has been great. You guys have been great. Let's do this again sometime. Peace out, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you on the next one.